Hello, today we are working on objective 7.1, which is that you will identify the three trig ratios given a triangle using SOHCAHTOA. So SOHCAHTOA, you remember, gives you those three trig ratios. Sine is equal to the opposite side divided by the hypotenuse. Cosine is equal to the adjacent side divided by the hypotenuse. And tangent is equal to the opposite side divided by the adjacent side. So obviously, before we can write down what any of these are, we need to know which side is which, and that depends on the angle. So I'm going to color code this as I do it in our first example. If we're talking about angle A, then the hypotenuse is the longest side, that's 13. So I'm going to write down hypotenuse for angle A on that side, and opposite is across from the angle. So across from angle A is 12. So I'm going to write opposite of angle A next to that. And then adjacent means next to. So 5 is the leg that is next to angle A. So this is adjacent to angle A. So when we fill in our trig ratios here, we've got sine of A, cosine of A, tangent of A. Sine of A is the opposite divided by the hypotenuse for angle A. So opposite of angle A is 12. Hypotenuse is 13, so this is just 12 divided by 13. If you can reduce that, you should, but this does not reduce. Cosine is adjacent divided by hypotenuse, so that's 5 divided by 13. And then tangent of angle A is opposite over adjacent, so that's 12 divided by 5. And that's it for angle A. Now they asked the same three trig ratios for angle B. Now this is going to be different, so I'm going to do it in a different color. I'm going to do this in green. So angle B is right here. Now first thing I want you to notice is that the hypotenuse is the longest side. Well, that's the same. So the hypotenuse does not change. So I'm writing hypotenuse of B, same as hypotenuse of A. Opposite, though, does change. So across from angle B this time is the 5. So the opposite side of angle B is the same as what the adjacent side of angle A was. And then finally we have adjacent to angle B is next to. That would be the leg 12. So this is going to be adjacent to angle B. Sorry, it's getting kind of busy in there. So sine of B is opposite over hypotenuse, and that's for B, so that's 5 divided by 13. Cosine of B is adjacent over hypotenuse. You notice that's 12 over 13. And then tangent is opposite over adjacent, so that's 5 over 12. When you're done with this, you should notice that a lot of these numbers and these answers repeat each other. There were only 3 numbers in the triangle to begin with, and we found 6 different things, so you're going to see a lot of the same thing. The second example is our application level problem. So in a triangle, they tell us that sine of angle M is equal to 40 over 41, and they ask us to find cosine of M. So the way we do this is we start by drawing a triangle. It has to be a right triangle, but otherwise it does not matter how you draw your triangle. So I drew a really squiggly triangle right there, and I put a right angle in it. Now what I do have to do is this. It says sine of angle M. So that means I have to put an angle M somewhere. And again, it doesn't matter where I put it. I'm just going to put it here. I had 2 choices, and I picked one. So my reference angle is angle M. And then what they told me is that sine of M is equal to 40 over 41. Well, I know that sine of M using SOHCAHTOA is equal to the opposite side divided by the hypotenuse. So that means I know that the opposite side is 40 and the hypotenuse is 41. So opposite of angle M is this vertical side over here, so I'm going to put a 40. And the hypotenuse is this diagonal longest side, so that's 41. And what I need to do now is find this missing side. Now there's 2 ways to do it. You could either use Pythagorean theorem, a squared plus b squared equals c squared, or you can recognize that this particular triangle is a Pythagorean triple. So the triple that this one is 9, 40, 41. And you should see that on your page, but you should also have these memorized. If you see 2 of these numbers, you know what the third one is. So I don't need to do any work here. I just know that the third side is 9. I'm going to add a couple labels here. Remember, this side, the 40, was the opposite of angle M, and the 41 is the hypotenuse. I'm not going to write of angle M because, as we talked about last time, it doesn't matter. and then the 9 is the adjacent to angle N. So now when they come back here and they ask what is cosine of M, well, now it's just like the last problem we did. Cosine of M is equal to the adjacent divided by the hypotenuse, so that would be 9 divided by 41. And that is our answer. Today's objective was to identify the three trig ratios, sine, cosine, and tangent, using the acronym SOHCAHTOA, and that is it.